Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us this morning in this session about ESG. I'm Angelica Coviello, Communication Manager at Talentia, and here with me there is Sven Helbert, Head of Analyst Services at Fosway. Good morning, Sven, and welcome.
Good morning, Angelica. How are you? Good to see you.
Fine, thanks. Fine. And then we have Silverio Petruzzellis, ACM Partner Learning Manager. Thank you, Silverio. Welcome.
Thanks, Angelica. Good morning.
Good morning. So, again, this morning, let's talk about ESG, and we start with a question. What does the S in ESG stand for?
Yes, Angelica, very good question. So ESG, I guess, is becoming increasingly important in, sustainable investing. It can affect a company's financial performance, financial success. It's also important to get really good conditions, better conditions from banks nowadays. And so it is that the S stands for social. So it refers to all the social dimensions of corporate operations and investments. And it focuses on a company's relationships with its employees, with its suppliers and partners from a social perspective, and also the communities where the company operates in, right? So the local, villages or cities or whatever where the company has a site. And it covers a wide range of issues related to human capital, for example, labor rights, employee relations, employee well-being, diversity. It's a big basket of topics, really.
And do you have some example for the practical side of this for companies?
Yeah, so I mean, it is a really wide topic, right? So I think one of the challenges is actually even understanding what aspects are all affected, because it is quite broad, right? So basically you can think of it of a company's overall impact on society, on the humans that live and work in these societies. And it's looking at, like a few examples would be, if we think about employees, we think about maybe some of the responsible supply chain practices that the company is putting in place. For example, a fashion brand is committing to like fair trade practices. It only partners maybe with, suppliers that ensure fair wages, safe working conditions, that avoids child labor, and that is verified through regular independent audits. Like, this is one example. Others are, fair treatment of your customers and suppliers. I already mentioned a little bit community engagement, but of course it also looks at employees, right? How do you treat your employees? How do you make sure that they feel well? So for example, like a tech company could implement flexible work arrangements, like maybe some mental health days, comprehensive health benefits, and so on. So those are all examples of what it entails. Maybe another one would be around, I guess, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So where you, as a multinational corporate, maybe launch some targeted recruitment program to increase the representation of underrepresented groups in your workforce. You couple it maybe with specific training around that for all employees so that you foster an inclusive culture. But it's also, pay is affected, like, can you live from the income that you have as a worker? Do you get paid fairly? The EU has also issued a directive on fair pay, gender pay equality acts. And so these are all things that are affected. So you see it as a really broad spectrum.
Yeah, we see a very diversified range of topics, of course. And I guess human resources departments play an important role in this, because I think, and you can confirm that, for example, internal initiatives can be driven by so to say, HR sensitive to these topics, and with the help of a direction driving and addressing these topics on the overall organization, a lot of activities can be launched by HR. What do you think about it?
Yeah, so I guess ultimately companies need to put a report together on this topic, right? So this is something that they need to include in some of their reporting. And for an HR department, they really play a very important role in shaping the ESG journey. And they do this obviously through their main purpose of existence, which is shaping human capital management. So instilling a strong corporate purpose, aligning the entire organization behind an ESG roadmap is, not a small task by all means, right? And I think so. If you ask for some specific examples, then I mean we've already spoken a little bit about diversity, equity, and inclusion. So here you could maybe see that HR develops and implements and some practices that promote a diverse workforce and inclusive culture in the workplace, and make sure that recruitment is not biased, that you have, so for your employees, that they have equal opportunities to advance their career, that they are fairly treated during the process, and that you treat all employees like this. And so the approach that HR then can take is to implement these D&I, for example, through a training program, making managers aware, establishing maybe some resource groups with employees, using analytics in maybe the HCM solution to kind of see who is getting promoted. Is it white males? Is it also those kind of things, right? And I think this is one of the important aspects. But as we have already seen, I guess the topic is really broad. So is there any other areas you'd be interested in that I speak about those maybe?
Yeah, I think you mentioned analytics, but generally speaking, technology can help, especially in big organization, medium or large organization, in which knowing people is a lot more difficult than in small organization, where you usually are one in the same place all together. And technology can help in supporting analysis and monitoring. So you can have analytics dashboards to highlight certain aspects like gender pay problems or inequality in the not only in the salary treatment, but also in terms of development initiatives, for example. And in this to this extent, from training to personal development, technology can help in producing and distributing collaborative processes that allow everybody to participate in planning the development initiative, or in suggesting, for example, personalized training, and having an eye on equality when it comes to performance management practice, and you have to evaluate groups of people that needs to be treated, so to say, equally without any possible bias in judgment from managers or from depending on other topics. And I think technology plays a role, an important role in helping and supporting the HR practices in this sense. Do you agree?
Yeah, so it's probably, yes, I totally agree, but it probably starts with making sure that you integrate ESG into your HR policies and practices. So I think the first step is HR kind of needs to think about all the areas that are affected for them. And then you need to embed the social responsibility principles into your HR policies, like you said, like in performance management, in training, in recruitment, in how you distribute benefits and how you make them accessible. So I think this is the first step. But then to track and analyze some of the progress that you're making towards those, you can leverage technology. It is actually quite a new field. So Fosway, as an industry analyst, we look at obviously a lot of the vendors in the market, if not all, And we really ask them what functionalities do you cover? And it's an area which is emerging, right? You can't go to really, as an HR leader, you can't really go to somebody's website and buy an ESG module, right? This is for finance, this is possible, but then it's more like this on the environmental aspects where you do carbon footprint calculations and all of that. But for HR, it is basically like you have to embed it across all of your HCM processes, all of your HR processes. And so you can't just go and, oh, I want to buy this or the social module or whatever for ESG, and then you're ready to go. It is a combination of activities where HR leaders really need to kind of think through from the beginning, where can they embed it, where do they need to embed it, and then how can their existing technology support it? How can they use it in their performance discussion? How can managers be aware of the topic? So I think it starts with a culture of transparency and accountability, an open environment where employees feel valued and heard, where the organization is transparent about its ESG goals and progress. So that you need to lead from the top. It needs to come from like the board saying, okay, this is important. And now we add ESG goals into our performance management system, for example, right? And then everybody gets measured on those. But and then systems can support you with maybe a library of goals or those kind of things. So it is something that you need to, it's not just like done like this. It is a bigger project for HR to actually get it to work.
You're perfectly right. There's no standard recipe for this kind of things. And in conclusion, we can say that technology can help in two aspects, in my opinion. One is supporting decision making. So when companies starts with this path, technology can help in providing the right information for taking the right decision. And the other aspect is the culture change. Technology can provide a means to how can I say, send the right messages and provide a framework for embedding the ESG principle into the HR practices. I think these are the two main aspects in which an information system, for example, or a HCM system can help in this sense.
Yeah, so I think, of course, HCM systems are collecting a lot of data, right? So you could leverage that data and use it to support your progress on your journey if you want to achieve those ESG goals and set out to get better at it. And so data analytics for DE&I can help you obviously to monitor those kind of things that we've discussed, but also in talent acquisition, there's maybe advanced algorithms, there's decisions that you make on how you promote people, who you hire. And I think those kind of things are also easily reported on. So it's basically just, you need a configurable dashboard of things to pull the things in from the different kind of modules or components that the solution has and provide an ESG kind of overview for your, if you're a large business, for your like globally, but then also maybe on a regional level or on a country level or on a site level or wherever you're interested in, like looking at this, probably throughout the system. And then in terms of some of the best practices that you can use it to streamline, there's maybe, HCM solutions can actually help you to implement some of these kind of policies, for example. So if you think about work-life balance initiatives, flexible working, then people can maybe request that they work remotely or that they work in an office on that day next week or whatever. It can also help them in with the flexibility of their shift schedules, for example. So those are examples of how you can use this technology to make it a more guided process for employees, right? So that if you have already worked 3 night shifts, you don't really allow an employee to pick another one, for example, if they can pick or something like, this, it depends on your company policies, but it gives some, I guess, examples. And for learning, like you mentioned learning as well, I think this is also an important part where like a learning system can provide the content that is relevant for employees to even be educated and informed about ESG, because it's not a topic that is, you know, everybody is maybe completely familiar with and aware of. So it's definitely something where you can use the technology to, you know, then look at your gender pay gap, but then also implement a compensation review process to reduce the gender pay gap, for example. So I think technology plays a really pivotal role in this.
Okay. I think we could talk for hours on these topics. And thanks for
it is quite broad.
For now, yes. It's a broad topic. Thanks, Sven, Angelica.
Thanks all of you, and thanks for everybody follow this session. So see you next time, and thank you, Sven. Thank you, Silverio. Again,
have a good day.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.